just in case.
Yeah. Oh.
And the Skyrage has just begun, and we're in Prologue. So Prologue, it introduces the three main mechanics of the game, which is jump, climb, and dash. Jumping, I don't need to explain. Climbing, you climb up a wall until you lose all your stamina. And dashing, you'll see in a second.
Yeah, you don't have dashing throughout the Prologue, so it's that's why you see jumping, because jumping is faster than normal walking. But you see now at the end of the Prologue, we get the ability to dash, and you're going to be seeing a lot of that throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, especially with the like big speed strats we use, like hyper dashing, wave dashing. Hyper dashing is basically just I guess you have a lower jump ratio towards your height.
Yeah, a lot of the movement techniques in this game kind of involve trying to get moving well on the ground. So a lot of the times you might see stuff that will kind of try and stay closer to the ground, so your height might not be that good. But then with things like wave dashing and extended dashing that you mentioned, you can use those like to get an extra dash when you get your speed and leave the ground, so that you can have more aerial movement as well as kind of more dashing to mess around with.
Yeah. Definitely in this case. Like, we're going to see a lot of hyper and waves. Not as much extended.
Yeah. The two wave dashes and extended dashes are really, in almost every case I can think of, you can really trade off the two without much thought to it. They're really kind of up to preference which one you want to do more. If you practice a lot, you can get used to both of them, and both of them can be good, because there's some situations where it can be better to stay on the ground, but some situations where you might want to you might be still in the air, and you might just want to get to the ground faster, and a wave dash might be better.
Yeah. We just saw ourselves from the Skyrage a spike jump, which is essentially you have a couple of frames before you actually get hit by the spikes. So you can use that to your advantage and jump off the spikes in order to keep yourself from dying. And we've moved on to Old Site. We should probably get the main little gimmicks inside of these places.
Yeah, each chapter kind of has its own kind of unique thing to it. So like that last chapter had the little zipper platforms that moved when you made contact with them, and this one has the dream blocks, which you can dash through, and you'll keep dashing until you exit the block. And this is
fun.
Yeah, they are a lot of fun. They make this chapter like one of the most interesting in my opinion, and also, but mainly because, and this is something you're going to see with possibly a few mechanics involving what you can see in this game, is that when you exit a dream block, your dash and stamina will come back. So it allows movement to kind of be enhanced and more advanced because you have a dash back, so you can use more dashes. And really, that's all you want to do to go as fast as possible in this game, is just use more dashes.
Absolutely, that is like the biggest main thing you should be doing.
Yeah. Looks like Flare's able to catch up a little bit with this one room the Skyrage is in. Having a bit of trouble with these keys. Oh no.
This
room is really tough.
Really bad in the Skyrage's case.
Yeah.
Giving flarebear the edge he needs to go into the lead.
Yeah, especially really interesting to see because Skyrage had, compared to flarebear, had like a really good chapter 1, so it's really interesting to see. It's really interesting to see lead swaps this early because of what's happening to both of these players in these first two chapters. Because usually these first two chapters are things where you can kind of determine who's gonna be sticking with that lead probably for a while. And it's usually not a place, unless you have two runners that are super close to each other, it's usually not a place where you see this many lead switches.
It happened with Tog and Zinpars in their race with the multiple lead switches.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and see that one if that's the case. I'm kind of...
Anyway, now the Skyrage has become the awake section, and flarebear on his heels, biting at his heels.
Yeah. I actually want to check something, because there's a little bit of desync in the in-game timers, and I want to know who's actually in this lead right now, because we have Skyrage with a very respectable 445 exit on the chapter.
It's
and it looks
Skyrage.
like Flare's probably going to have, like, a... Okay, they're, like, around the same. I don't remember the decimals for Skyrage, but flarebear is kind of high on that 445, so maybe just the slightest of leads for Skyrage entering Celestial Resort here.
Yeah. And probably taking a water break right now, flarebear.
Stay hydrated.
You should. It's actually probably one of the best parts about like these kinds of games. Like, they're long enough that they require you to rest a little bit, but they're also short enough that you can complete it in one sitting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's actually just one of the better lengths, because I know I've been getting into some speed games that are really comfortable to play, but you might have to sit there for like a few hours and you just don't want to.
Like
Celeste is
Pokemon.
one of those games where the length never really tires you, and the mechanics keep changing in a way that keeps engaging you, and also keeps you on your toes, which is something that, when you want to focus on something, staying on your toes is a good thing. And nothing puts you on your toes like local cycles, and that's what the Dust Bunnies here provide. Not only when you enter the room are they on a cycle, but also when you die, they're on a different cycle. So you always have to make sure you know where they are, or else you're going to be taking a lot of deaths in this level.
I applaud you for that segue. That was like the best segue I've ever
I
heard.
always try to segue, and sometimes it works out really well, and sometimes it's just awful. I say it's a huge mess, some of them.
Ooh.
That's the section we're in now.
Exactly. So the huge mess
Yeah.
is you have to clean up Oshiro's huge mess. We forgot to mention Oshiro. Oshiro is the hotel manager.
Yeah.
And he's got a really bad mess, so we're going to clean it up in order to progress into the next section.
Yeah. You see the key in the middle. We're basically trying to reach that. And there's 3 components, these boxes, these books, and these towels. And on these 3 split paths, there's a button to clean up one of those things at the end. So the Skyrage just hitting the button to clean up all the boxes. This is interesting because not only does this allow for dynamic routing, where since we need to talk to Oshiro at the end of each section to go into another section, we kind of have to plan out where Oshiro's going to be in order to know which route to take. But also, depending on what order you do the segments, it can slightly change the designs of the other segments. So, for example, if you usually go to this book section that the Skyrage is in right now, if you usually go here first, there usually actually are brown boxes, but since we already cleaned them up, they're not there anymore.
Yeah, because they serve as a good platform to use.
Yeah, and that actually kind of helps with the difficulty kind of curve, is as the platforms disappear, this section will only get harder as you have less safety platforms, and eventually at this ending section, when you're cleaning up the towels, it just gets kind of crazy with how many open pits there are with just dust bunnies waiting for you to fall into them.
Yeah, that's the and that death from Skyrage, that's going to kind of make the cycle a little weird.
Yeah, it's that's a bad screen to die on in general, but getting through the death cycle, gonna be grabbing the key and heading up to the
elevator shaft.
The elevator shaft.
Which is the elevator shaft itself is like not one of the hardest sections. Like, it's a little annoying at first, but once you get like a good entrance cycle, you're fine.
Yeah, it's got a few kind of evil screens, or screens that a lot of people will point out as just like not nice ones. But
Yeah,
it's very short and compact, and usually it's not the biggest problem somebody has with the level. The Skyrage, though, having a little bit of trouble with this screen.
And they're both on the same screen as of right now.
Yeah. Again, because of flarebear's kind of break in between chapters, there's a bit of desync in the in-game timers, but hey, it makes it look closer, so I'll buy it.
Yeah. And the lead change is now in flarebear's consideration.
Yeah. Because, like, even despite it looking like flarebear is behind, even though the in-game timer might make him ahead, it's not by too much here.
This door is probably one of the most evil parts of the level.
Yeah, you see
Like,
Skyrage.
That death
Still
cycle
dying.
will murder you.
There we go, yeah. That is... You kind of have to get a really specific height on those hypers to get in between, like, landing on the platform and not hitting the dust bunny. And then your reward is a hero, so, like, what was even the point? It's not worth it.
Now it's the Oshiro fight. Or, well, it's more of the Oshiro chase, but...
Yeah, a lot of the fights in this game are actually just chases.
Unless it's battling.
Yeah, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, we're way
hey,
too far ahead.
Oshiro does directly attack you. He will let you know where he's attacking with the Thunderbolt, or Lightning Bolt, as a symbol, where he's going to dash across the screen. And you don't want to get hit by that, because that will send you back to the beginning of the screen. Which is not a good thing.
And now we're on the beautiful Hyper Dash chamber. I love that chamber.
That is such a good screen. And then it's followed up by this screen, which is not such a good screen.
It's an evil screen, especially
Yeah.
if you die on the last part. But nope, flarebear manages to get through it like butter.
Yeah, I'll go with that. And Skyrage doing a tactical retry there. Some people like the death cycle on this screen. I don't understand them, but they like it.
I personally
so-
also do the death cycle much better than my entrance cycle.
I mean, I like to claim that I do the entrance cycle better and try and say that I always do stupid stuff instead of actually struggling with the cycle, but I can't remember the last time I've done that room on the first try since I've gotten the golden strawberry.
Oh, Jesus. Those golden strawberries.
Yeah, I have a ton of B-sides to do.
I've got a ton of C-sides to do myself, so...
Yeah, the C-sides are just kind of tricky.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you put yourself through them?
Exactly. I ask myself that question about Golden Ridge sometimes, but hopefully these two will have a greater experience throughout this level than I usually do.
And now we're going through the extended jump dash cancel? Extended dash cancel.
Yeah.
There's
There's just a lot of stuff you can do with momentum. That's one thing you're going to notice is a lot of the mechanics involve you moving in a lot of ways. And combined with the momentum of this game, there's some crazy stuff that happens in some of these screens.
Yeah, like the auto-scroller skip in 2,000 meters.
Yeah. Or this little extended right here, where you actually can barely make it without using that block. Flarebear still didn't make it with the block, though, unfortunately. Skyrage's going for a spike jump.
It's not a massive time loss, but it hurts when you don't get it.
Absolutely. You just have to wait for the block again, and you're just like, I've waited too many times for this block.
I mean, the Skyrage is very, very close behind as of right now.
Absolutely.
So if Flarebear manages to make a very bad screw-up on, the last room or something like that, then it could potentially turn the tide of favor into Skyrage's.
Absolutely. And as for right now, though, it looks like Flarebear is still kind of coasting a little bit ahead. Does need to watch his back, though.
Ooh, that spike jump.
Yep. Getting frisky.
Doesn't the task do a couple of different strats in that one door room or that spike door room?
Yeah, there's this room that Skyrage is in right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really specific thing you can do here, but like going for it RTA is the craziest thing you could ever attempt ever. So
It
you
would
don't
be
you
like
don't see it.
frame perfect.
You don't do it. Just don't. Cliff face though. Cliff face is kind of required to beat the game, so you're gonna see that in any gameplay. And although I kind of don't like doing it just as much as I don't like doing that crazy strat we mentioned earlier, the winds move really fast here. To the point where you basically have to use your dashes. You can't like walk at all here.
That snowball save.
Yeah, the snowballs are really weird in their hitbox. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I think like for some reason, if you're like directly in front of them, like if you like full on body collide, I think there's legitimately a chance you can still survive it. I don't understand. It's weird, but I don't like the snowballs. But it seems that like Flarebear made it through the snowballs fine, and Skyrage is doing all right with snowballs as well.
I was wondering if Flarebear would go for the swagberry, but seems like he wouldn't.
Yeah, that's just kind of a silly berry to go for, in my opinion. I mean, I'm some loser who doesn't really go for berries unless they're like on the path that is fast. But
I mean, in this case, it's not necessarily the faster path, but it's not necessarily the slower path either. It's kind of
it's just kind of there.
I
It's supposed to be
personally
more
do.
challenging to get, and the last thing you want in Golden Ridge is to make it more challenging than it has to be.
Oh, and the swagberry goes to Skyrage.
Yep.
Oh, we should probably tell them Mirror Temple gimmicks.
Oh yeah, Mirror Temple. This stage exists. You already saw a fairly big skip. This stage is like a maze, kinda, where you have a lot of different paths you can go on, and you need to get a key to go through a certain area. The thing is, though, is that since it's a maze, we know where to go. We can do whatever we want to get over there, including skipping several screens, like Flarebear did at the beginning of there. And a bit later, we're going to skip a lot of screens. So this is kind of one of the bigger chapters in terms of, like, skippage.
Yeah, this is the biggest chapter for like time games.
Yeah. And especially between stuff like red bubbles, which let you fly instantly, and dash blocks, which can give you a ton of momentum with how they move whenever you dash well on the screen. The movement here is kind of just as crazy as any of the skips that go on.
Yeah, especially with the upcoming skip after this next section, Unraveling.
Yeah. We're going to be entering the mirror here just before going into Unraveling. And we're going to be introduced to the Seekers. Really, Mirror Temple, between Seekers, the skips, the dash blocks, and the red bubbles, and a part at the end of the chapter that we'll talk about once we get there. This chapter is just kind of insane. And because the Seekers are kind of more than what they're shaped up to be. In that section, you kind of learn about the Seekers. When you control a Seeker, you kind of figure out what they can do, what they can't do. So you know how to react when in a few screens, Flarebear is going to see the Seeker is going to be an enemy that you have to avoid. But the Seekers are a bit more than meets the eye, and we can actually use some of their properties to make things a little bit faster.
Yeah, especially with the doors.
Yeah. A lot of these screens with the Seekers, to get you used to them, will have you have to collect some of the keys to open some doors. And you learn that you can have them dash into a key, and it'll collect the key. And alternatively...
That or the small blast radius that they have.
Yeah. Alternatively, the small blast radius that they have when you jump on them and they eventually reform will kind of increase the range of where keys will be hit and where walls will be broken. And it just kind of makes them even crazier because, hey, you needed that.
Flarebear just died on that room. The Seeker got
an unfortunate one.
The Seeker got a little lucky there.
Yeah, the Seekers are kind of crazy because a slight change in your position can change their pattern just so wildly.
Yeah, it's either make or break with these things. And the search skip is coming up, like, right now. which is you do an extended reverse hyper, or no, extended reverse jump cancel, dash cancel.
Yeah, it skips. You're supposed to get like these 2 keys so you can ride a red bubble over some spikes, but you can do a reverse extended over those spikes, and it just skips all that.
Yeah, it's a lot weirder than you think. It's one of the easier skips to learn, but it's one of the harder skips to master.
Absolutely, and there, even without the reverse extended, there's a even more difficult method that I know some top runners use involving some bunny hop. I don't even know. All I know is it exists. It's crazy. It's just a crazy strat. And
just like the spike clip near the, it's like coming up in a couple of rooms, really.
Yeah. But that room is in the section we're in right now. We have Theo with us. Theo is a character that you meet in every chapter in the game. You don't really see him in any sense. I think there's a point where you actually are forced to talk to him in chapter 3, but we skip cutscenes, so you don't really like notice Theo at all until this section where he's stuck in a crystal and you kind of have to guide him out by picking him up. This is kind of a problem because when you are picking him up, he can't dash. You move slower and you can't jump as high, but he will keep your momentum if you pick him up. So if you hyper dash and then like pick him up mid hyper dash, you'll still have your hyper dash momentum. And so this section basically doesn't end up moving any slower than any other section of the game you might see.
It's just a little weirder because you have another minor thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And now we're moving on to Reflection on Flarebear's side.
But it turns out that keeping your eye on Crystal and Theo actually makes the eyeball explode, and the crystal explode, and the chapter end. So be careful.
Yeah, you should really be careful, especially with that.
Yeah, lest you move on to Reflection, which is a place where I know not some people want to be.
Everybody.
Reflection is the 6th chapter here that you see Flarebear now entering. This is kind of one of the most
prolific.
Something, yeah. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's a
the
prolific
feathers,
chapter. It's really annoying, especially with like Lake Skip, which I see that Flarebear isn't going for.
Yeah.
Which it's a really precise skip, and I don't blame him.
Mm-hmm.
Because even I've only gotten it like at least twice.
Yeah, it's one of those skips. I like to joke about people's success ratio of Lake Skip being how many times they do it in practice compared to how many times they do it in total. Because it's just one of those skips that does not like to play nice. But even without that skip, you still have a lot of movement involving golden feathers and crush blocks, which help you basically move in a ton of directions throughout the chapter to just kind of like have your movement be one of the freest it probably is in the whole game. And just, it's absolutely crazy the kind of stuff you see done in these chapters, even with a few dev-intended skips thrown in.
Yeah, the ones near the end of the chapter are, like, they save a lot of time if you get them on first try, which not many people do.
Yeah. This chapter just kind of has it all. But sometimes you don't want the game to have everything in store for you, so...
You want it to keep secrets from you.
No, I'm saying you want it to calm the heck down, but yeah, sure, let's go with that.
Well, yeah, it should calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially in the B and C sides, Jesus Christ. Calm
but
down.
Yeah, we have 2 paths. That's like too many paths. Fortunately, we know which path is fast, so we don't have to worry about taking double.
Tess does a good job routing these stuff, so
yeah,
thank them for doing the dirty work. As well as we should thank all the past runners who have either world record or just PB constantly.
We should thank everyone. Thank you to that pinball bumper, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, let's have that really cued on, like, hold on. We should thank Speed Gaming because
Oh,
they're
yes.
so gracious enough to host us on this beautiful, fine thing.
Delightful.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, we should really thank Speed Gaming.
Absolutely.
They help.
We should also
they
thank the
help
devs
us
for
out.
giving up these intended skips where you can fall through the spikes. Kind of risky though, because if you do them, you skip checkpoints, and if you die, you don't get checkpoints because you skipped them.
Which is
Add
why.
some risk.
Which
but
is
there's
why
some
I
reward in it.
always get the second checkpoint. Or
Yeah,
the
some
third.
people like to do that. They like to jump up and get the second checkpoint. Some people are like Flare, and they just throw themselves into the hole until they go all the way through like that.
I personally like being on the safe side, so I don't die and lose all the progress that I so happen to make.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, speaking about losing progress, did you know that the originally when Battle and Boost was found, you actually moved so fast that the game would crash?
No kidding.
Now that's fixed, and we can do a boost with that Kevin block to get into the battle and fight really quickly.
Yeah, I've only gotten Battle and Boost once.
I always
And that-
mess it up in some stupid way.
Yeah, everybody gets like really, really annoyed when they don't get Battle and Boost. But really, it's one of like the harder skips to get.
Absolutely. That was an interesting death.
Yeah. Ooh. Flarebear having some trouble. And the Skyrage is moving on to where the battle and fight shall take place.
Yep.
You'll notice
gotta get through
that
these
there's
screens.
a lot of purple blackish hair, or tendrils, or tentacles as I like to call them.
I just call it hair.
But yeah, you get these beautiful tendrils of hair.
You gotta
And,
follow them.
And Skyrage being on the safe side, so I don't necessarily fault him,
Not at all.
because I mean, even if you're on the faster route, you really should be safe. Because
Absolutely.
if you aren't, you might lose massive amounts of time that you shouldn't. That was a little weird with the angling of Flarebear, because he angled himself just a little weirdly, so he missed the golden feather.
Yeah. And that's the problem with Chapter 6, is that between the pinball bumpers and the golden feathers, if you're using analog stick, that is, it really introduces kind of a theme of omnidirectionality, where instead of just kind of having your 8 directions, you can suddenly move like 360 degrees in many scenarios. And it could just kind of mess you up if you're not on the kind of... It's like kind of like the Seekers, where one small position change can mess up everything. It's kind of true here for the movement.
This is why I run keyboard.
I could not ever play keyboard if I wanted to.
It kind of sucks because it doesn't get as much credit as it deserves. But it's like the same with Hollow Knight. Like, keyboard is so bad on that game that you really should play controller.
I've been playing Hollow Knight with keyboard.
I've played it keyboard, and I really hated myself after that.
I guess that happens, but... I mean, even in this game, we have some top times with keyboard, so it's not the biggest difference.
Yeah,
Again,
no.
the feathers are really the only part where keyboard is different at all. Yeah. And even without keyboard, even if you're using analog sticks, it can be tricky to control them. Like you see Flare's death earlier. but still making it to the end of the level, so very good job there.
And we're going to level up soon. And we just leveled
Right
up,
now.
so... Would you mind explaining what a level up is?
Alright, so you've seen the hair. The hair is important. Not just the hair that we were following to get to battle in, but the color of the hair. You can see it constantly changing throughout the game from red to blue, depending on how many dashes you have. Now it's pink, which basically means we have 2 mid-air dashes. And when you have 2 mid-air dashes, that allows the game to kind of go crazy with your aerial movement. So after a bit of a vertical climb, you're going to see this showcase as we enter the final chapter of the game, Chapter 7, the Summit.
Yeah, Summit is, like, the main gimmick is really just, hey, you've got double dashes. Use them as much as possible.
Congratulations, you now have the best Mario Kart game. Good luck.
Oh god. Mario Kart.
Fortunately, this is not a race in person, this is a speedrun race, so we don't have to worry about no blue shells.
Oh, absolutely. I would rather hate if they invented the Blue Shell DLC.
The blue shell DLC to Celeste. Oh, jeez. Well, there are these blue purplish orbs right here, but those don't blow you up, those actually move you forwards throughout the level.
The Blue Shell mod by... I don't know who.
I don't know, who's the trolliest person in this community?
Probably Devil Swirl.
Okay.
Because, I mean, like, he trolls everybody because the task that he does is so amazing.
He has record and he won't even submit it.
He has, well, he couldn't even if he wanted to.
I know, I'm just joking around.
It's a good joke, though. It's... And the Skyrage now moves on to the beautiful, the only, the Summit.
The only summit in the world.
There's no such thing as Mount Everest.
The only summit to the world's only mountain. Mount Madeline from the game Celeste. Wait.
Mount Madeline?
Wait, Celeste is the game name. I think I've hypnotized myself. Let's move on. Alright.
Yeah, we really should.
Just like Flarebear's moving on to the 1,000 meter portion, which we didn't explain the meter portion.
So the meters are basically all the previous levels starting from Reflection, because Reflection we plummeted down all the way to the bottom of the mountain.
It's the lore.
Cause lore. But we're on the old site part, or the old site section of the summit, which means Flarebear probably has the race in the bag.
Possibly. Summit's a mean one.
Yeah, definitely. Like... Wait, did I just Gravity Falls quoted?
I don't know.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
Most certainly.
Summit, also known as Celestial Resort Hotels Hell.
Yeah. Hotel.
Helltel.
Yeah. This place. You got a lot of jumps.
There's also
so
that...
as I mentioned, there's a lot of open pits and a lot of open spaces and a lot of big rooms with no checkpoints and generally just a lot of stuff you don't like seeing in one area.
Oh, that was a beautiful Ultra Dash strat right there. Oh,
yeah, that room is started at the beginning of the tournament to get referred to as the Ultra Room because of the amount of Ultra Dash strats you usually see between players.
Yeah, you usually see around 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
That is, if you're not a noob like me and can only do one.
I can't play this game. I don't have any hands. It's a long story.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. But I do have a mouth, and I love to flap it, which is why I'm here.
That is probably the best thing you could use. You could do with your mouth, other than eat. But how are you going to eat without hands?
I don't know. That was actually a good question. I've actually never pondered that. That would really be very messy.
I love how this commentary just devolved.
This is dying. I mean, I could probably still find a way to eat some delicious strawberries.
Oh yes, the beautiful swag berries that we've got.
Oh yeah, we also skipped an auto-scroller there by doing an extended.
Yeah, that auto-scroller skip. Jesus.
I hate it. And there's another one. Not as major, but still
the only person who can do the auto-scroller skip without fail is probably Tej, the taskbot himself.
Sure, yeah.
I refer to him as a taskbot because he's almost inhuman with his movements.
That's what the T stands for.
Haha.
Yeah, and the G stands for, good at video games. I don't know. And the H stands for, hey, flarebear is going to be entering 2500 now.
Oh yeah, also known as Door Skip Heaven.
Door skip the level. Also, there's some other rooms, but they're not as important.
Yeah, no, the only room is Door Skip.
Yeah, it's just door skip like 8 times.
There really should be a level just about Door Skip.
Someone's probably going to make that.
Somebody's probably going to make that in the Celeste Discord. Oh!
I wouldn't be surprised. We should make a key skip level. That one's easier. I would do that.
It's easier,
but it's less of a meme. I get it.
It's less of a meme, but it's much more fun.
Yeah. You basically don't go into a little downwards area because, hey, that's slow. And instead you do 2 new jumps to get that key early, using one more intentional reset in order to get back to the beginning of the screen. This is the door
going
skip
for door skip.
Wow. Incredible.
And that double door skip was masterful.
Skyrage is not even going for auto-scroller skip here, just wants to play safe. That's a definitely understandable thing. Almost messing up that end, though.
Flarebear took a haircut with that, with the last room of 2500. Moving on to 3000 meters, also known as the only room that you can't recognize.
That's because it's new.
Beautiful. And there's not really much we can say other than do the checkpoint counting, chat. We are watching you.
Please. Yeah, so, as I mentioned earlier, not a lot of screens here have checkpoints because, hey, they're all at the beginning of the screen. However...
With that checkpoint grab.
Yeah. However, this level's all built around long screens, and having these flags that act as checkpoints while also counting down to when you'll reach the end of the level, and therefore the end of the game.
Yep. This has been a surprisingly good run, especially with the Skyrage. Right now, he's on the 2500 meter mark as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I couldn't have asked for a closer run other than Tej and Yoshi Pro, which was at GDQ this year.
These updraft flags are really challenging. I actually was talking with Flare fairly recently when we commentated a race together, and actually, despite the gravity being floatier and allowing you to have more air without landing on the spikes, I actually realized that I learned that Flare actually doesn't like these updraft sections too much because since it takes you longer to get on the ground, you actually have less time for all the movement that you usually see and that he really enjoys doing. And he actually likes the downdrafts at the beginning of 3000, which Skyrage is super close to entering, because he actually just kind of likes getting to the ground fast, just doing all the movement he can.
Yeah. I can understand this, but I personally like the updraft section myself because I can just blaze through these checkpoints like nothing.
Yeah, I actually don't like the downdraft because I feel like I'm always scared every jump that I'm just gonna go plummeting into the spikes because the wind is pushing against me.
And skipping checkpoint, what was that, 8? Yep.
Yeah, that's 8. You usually see that one skip because it's just too far out of the way.
Usually if you want to be safe, you can go get that, but it's a little annoying because...
I mean, it's not like you usually die on checkpoint 8, so you don't usually see anyone get it.
Yeah, you don't die on checkpoint 8, you die either on checkpoint 9 or checkpoint 10. Checkpoint 10 is annoying, a little.
Yes, absolutely.
Checkpoint 3 is even more annoying sometimes. And we might see... no. What's his PB? Flarebear's?
No. Flarebear's PB is a 3620. That is not a PB. I don't think we're going to see PBs from either today, because Skyrage's PB is a 3957, and that is not something that's going to happen. Still a good time, though. Flarebear's going to be finishing up a high 37.
Yeah, and we'll see if we can get an interview.
Yeah, because with a time of 37:46, Flarebear finishes in first place.
Yeah. And let's just check the Discord really quick, because sometimes we don't have that beautiful thing known as... Yeah, no, he's not on the Discord.
Yeah, I think he probably just got the invite.
Yeah, probably.
Alright, and Skyrage working through the updrafts here. That's flag. I can't read anymore. 13. So,
And
making good
I'm
progress.
gonna go keep an eye on chat, because chat is probably the funniest thing inside this entire run.
Probably.
Yeah, no, there's nothing in chat as of right now. Nothing that's, personally funny or worth notice.
I mean, we were just counting for Flare, so...
Yep. Oh, and we've got Star Cruncher saying 11, now 10, because...
Hey, we're counting down again. We actually saw checkpoint 8 from Skyrage after saying you usually don't see it, which is... thanks.
Yeah, he's just trying to be safe, so...
Yeah, I can understand that. Just wants to get a good, respectable finish.
It's commendable.
Absolutely. Could still finish with a very good time. Maybe like a high, or a low 41.
Yeah.
Which, for a PB, that is only 3 seconds away from being 40-minute. A 41 is nothing to kind of scoff at. I mean, unless you're me and you just hate every run you do, but I don't think Skyrage is like that.
Yep, and moving on to checkpoint 2 / almost at checkpoint 1.
Yeah. I like to call it the stamina management checkpoint, because it's one of the ones where if you're not careful, you can ruin it right at the end, and it's just a bad feeling.
Ooh, yeah. I can understand, especially once you start off the game. It's like, why is this checkpoint hate me?
Yeah. But it didn't hate Skyrage, and Skyrage is able to finish up with a 41:16.
2 minutes within PB, so I'm actually quite happy with seeing that.
Yeah, that was a very good race.
Flarebear can join on in now. And we're probably going to see, yep, And we've got a 41-16-169 from Skyrage.
Yep. All right. Hi, Flare.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. Congratulations.
That run was something. I used up all of my luck, I think. I was doing one warm-up practice run immediately before this race started, and I PB'd
Yeah,
with
I saw
30
that.
with 3620. And then right after I did that, I don't know, like I had 5 deaths in City. I wasn't feeling it right from the start.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
kind of.
jitters hands that-
Yeah, that was kind of a troubling start, I noticed, especially because you don't see. We saw a lot of like lead changes, like throughout City and Site alone, which is something that you usually don't expect to see with someone with PB gaps like you and Skyrage have. But you managed to take the opportunity after being basically tied, exiting Old Site, to pull ahead and Resort and keep it until the end. So very good job with that.
Yeah, that was a great run. That was really interesting to see.
Most of the splits in that run weren't very great. I remember in particular, I think Resort was alright, but a lot of it had a lot of deaths in it. I wasn't playing horribly, I just kept doing dumb tiny things that killed me.
And we've got Skyrage in chat saying that his site was terrible.
Yeah, both of ours were, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was like the couple of screens on the doors. Those ones were a little wonky.
It was just kind of like a ping pong match of lead changes throughout all of Site, really. Yeah, that was still a very enjoyable race to commentate.
Good, yeah. I was expecting to put on a better showing than I have in my other races just because I've been doing a lot of more difficult strats since the last one that I did. But obviously I just died a ton, so I didn't even beat my last tournament time.
That is unfortunately something that can happen with this game.
Yeah, I'm trading more speed for consistency, and it's not paying out completely yet, but it'll take time. I mean, like, I was plus 50 at a site for my PB. I was plus 50 seconds. And then by the time I was entering, like, Reflection, I was still, like, plus, like, 58. Like, I played the majority of the run within 10 seconds of my PB. And then Summit was pretty meh as well. I think Reflection was the worst part. But yeah, most of it I played similarly to my PB. It was just the beginning and the end. I had like really big time losses in short places.
It's understandable. But yeah, we've got so we had flarebear here, and he was a good sport about it. Great job on the race, by the way. And Skyrage, you did really good as well. I mean, you were within 2 minutes of PB, so that's pretty good. And all in all, GG to both of you. And I think it's almost time to sign off anyway.
Follow the runners.
Follow the runners. Follow Flarebear. Follow Skyrage. And follow Speed Gaming. Or subscribe to them, in all honesty.
Do it. You won't. Do it, cowards.
Do it,
It
you
looks like-
cowards.
It looks like our commands are broken.
I mean, you can also follow us, but I don't recommend it considering that we're
Us,
just
the
lowly
people, the runners, the
commentators.
people. Follow the runners. I'm tired.
Same, I'm tired.
Well, for those that aren't tired, we have a few more Celeste races, including one in about 40 minutes, one in about 2 hours and 40 minutes, and one in like 6.5 hours. So there's a few more Celeste races today. I'm trying to get the schedule, but the commands are broken. I don't even know why I tried to use the command again. I'm gonna head out. I
Yeah,
can get the
same here.
schedule manual.
Alright, anyway, so we're signing off. I'm Gamzy Dreamer, and we've got Lori.
I'm not Gamzy Dreamer.
You're not Gamzy Dreamer. Okay.
Actually,
That's-
yeah.
That's a
Shocker.
good thing.
But I am gonna be heading out, so I'll see you guys later.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.